Conspiracies as a topic have become a big political culture war. But what even are they, and what is the right way to think about them? In this video, I try to think through my thought process as to what they are and how we can better understand them. So let's look into it. So this is going to be the first of a video series that I want to start. And really all it is like a lot of people on the internet, like a lot of people in general, there are these big topics or subjects that pop up. And I think there's a lot of confusion about how we even think about them, or what a good opinion is, or what a good thought process is on them. And so in this video, I want to try to walk through what mine is, and maybe you guys can comment down below, tell me what you think. Maybe it'll help you think through it too, and maybe just that dynamic back and forth will help us to understand these things a bit more clearly. So that way, when we talk about them or interact online, we don't do so in such a way that it seems ignorant or like we haven't given this much thought. So the first one I want to start with today is conspiracies. It's something I've been thinking about a lot because a lot of people use them in a different way, and there's some overlaps with other ways of thinking. The first question, of course, is what even is a conspiracy? I think a conspiracy is, at least from what I've gathered, or what a lot of people say, it's a plan that people make behind the scenes or that another larger group doesn't know about, and then they try to enact that plan. And when you give kind of a broad definition, which is what a lot of people do, of something like conspiracies, I think you fall into a little bit of a trap when thinking about this. And it reminds me of Christianity, for instance, or feminism. Because what's the big thing that feminists say? They say, well, of course you're a feminist because don't you believe in gender equality? And of course, in the modern world, not many people are going to disagree with gender equality. That's not going to be a big point of disagreement. But to me, that is just as misleading as a Christian coming up to you and saying, well, if you believe that you should love your neighbor as yourself, then you're a Christian. So why is that misleading? For a while, I didn't really understand why that is. But that's because there's so many things baked into what a feminist is, or a Christian. There's so many things baked into that. Practices, ways of talking, other ideas. It's all this combination of associations linked together. And when you have that, and then you give this broad definition, that's very easy for a lot of people to latch onto, it ends up becoming very misleading. It ends up distracting or confusing people from what is really going on. And the problem with this is, just like feminism or Christianity, it then leads you to going deeper and deeper and deeper because they've got you to buy into this first thing. And by the way, I'm not really commenting on any particular conspiracy. I'm just talking through this way of thinking. And when you buy into the first step, so we'll give the example of the Christian. When you buy into, oh, well, all it means is really just loving your neighbor as yourself, okay? Well, then they get you to, for instance, believe that, oh, well, Jesus is Christ, of course, because he's the one who said it. And if that's the highest truth, well, then that's kind of like a God, right? Because your highest truth is like your God. And so step by step, you start believing more and more of that thing, going deeper and deeper and deeper. Feminists do the same thing when it comes to, oh, well, if you believe in gender equality, then you must be a feminist. And then if that's the case, well, then really there is a patriarchy because, of course, men have been the ones with the most rights, political rights, for the longest time. Because if you believe that gender equality is a good thing, well, it hasn't been equal for a while. And if it hasn't been equal, then the people that it has been equal for, they've been really disadvantaged. And of course, that seems relatively fair. And then as you get on, you start believing more and more of that thing. And that might seem like it's bad, but I'm just giving the example of how any rabbit hole can start, of how any belief system can begin in someone's mind. So when you think that way, to me, the big question is, how deep do you go, right? How deep is too deep, or how deep is deep enough? So then I get to this deep question that kind of bugs me, which is, how do you know when it's right, when it's wrong? How do you know when deep is too deep, when you've gone too far? A lot of people answer this question by following the crowd, by following what authorities say and what experts say. And I understand there are a lot of issues with that, right? But at the same token, at least there's a clear stopping off point with them. Well, if the experts don't think that that's the case, then that's clearly wrong. If the authorities or most people don't agree, well, then that's probably not the right thing. Again, I get that's groupthink and there's a lot of issues with that, but again, you can see the clear line. You can see the clear demarcation as to what is too far. But to me, that's the big question I'm trying to answer in this video, and answer more broadly when thinking about this, which is, when is it too deep? When is it too far? And how can you tell? If you don't have formal training in that background, in that discipline, if you haven't developed a large amount of knowledge or spent a long time studying something, how can you tell when it's too far? When the just asking questions has become a series of big, broad beliefs that undermine really key things that go against expert consensus and tons of people and tons of people's opinions. How can you tell when it's too far? So that's the big question that I'm grappling with. And in the comments below, I'd love to hear how you answer that question for yourself. So thanks for looking into it, and I'll see you in the next one.